Chapter 1421 You're so brutal for a girl. What did it mean by as long as he listened? Lu Baikan raged internally as he looked at his own father who behaved as though Gu Jingyan was his own child. Why did it seem like whatever Gu Jingyan said was right and whatever he said was wrong? Moreover, in his eyes, his own dad was a hot-tempered man, but he looked at Gu Jingyan as gently as a flower. Lu Qinyu talked for half a day before taking the three of them out. Outside. Those hooligans were still calling out. Ouch, ouch, that's them. They're the ones who hit us. Ouch. They looked at the three of them being led outside and quickly asked, "Oh, where are you taking them? Are you taking them into detention?" The policeman bellowed, "What detention? They're going home." "Ah, why? They hit people and look at how they've hit us. How can you? Enough, so many guys get beaten up like this by students and you still dare to talk about it. We've already asked and they said you started the fight. They were defending themselves. But. Alright, shut your mouths. Can't you see who that is? That is the Lu family's young master. You deserve the beating. You don't even realize who you've offended and you're still shouting here." A few of the people looked outside in shock. What young master Lu? He's the top in the city. He has no time to hang around outside, you understand. How would they know? Once out, Lu Qinyu said, "Go, send her home. It's dangerous for any girl to be out and about." Lu Baikan laughed. "If she meets a bad person, I'm more worried about that person's safety." "Hey, you rascal, how can you say such things?" Lu Qinyu slapped him. Lu Baikan said, "Ouch." Gu Jingyan sniggered. Behind, Fu Chengxi looked on quietly. Lu Baikan still had to send Gu Jingyan home. On the road, Lu Baikan was in protest. "My father absolutely treats other people's kids better than his own." Gu Jingyan said, "I'm better than you in the first place." "Hey, it looked like I helped you fight off the guys just now. You say it as though I needed your help." Fine, he now felt that she indeed did not need his help. Lu Baikan looked at her. "But how is it that you, a young mistress, can fight so well?" Gu Jingyan replied, "Don't you know we have a training camp at the Gu family?" "Oh, I know. Gu family's security guards are all trained in the camp," Lu Baikan said. Gu Jingyan answered, "So we also train there from young. Though I don't train like my two elder brothers who are not far off from those guards, I can still handle those few hooligans." Lu Baikan shook his head. "You are so violent, seriously it's not feminine at all. You're a total tomboy." "Hey. But I ended up at the police station because of you," Lu Baikan said. Gu Jingyan knew right and wrong, and she knew that his situation today was because of her. She said, "Yes, thank you very much." With those bead-like eyes, she looked at him in embarrassment. Lu Baikan said, "All right. Well, I was just thinking if anything happens to the Gu family's fourth young mistress because of me, your family members will tear me apart." Gu Jingyan glared at him when she heard that. "You do know it's because of you EIHA. Don't go to those kinds of places too often." They chatted as they sent her back home to the Gu's. Gu Jingyan was staying at the Gu family mansion with an alarmingly big courtyard. After sending Gu Jingyan home, Gu Jingyan instructed Lu Baikan. "Do your job to the end. Help me send Fu Chengxi back home." Fu Chengxi grabbed onto her bag nervously when she heard that. Lu Baikan remembered at this moment that there was one more person in the back of the car. He acknowledged. He was driving anyway, it would not be much further to send her home. Okay, it's on me for taking you guys out today." Lu Baikan drove Fu Chengxi home after Gu Jingyan went in. Fu Chengxi was not considered pretty, but she was delicate. Naturally, if you compared her with Gu Jingyan, she wouldn't appear to be beautiful. However, now that Gu Jingyan was not around, her presence was felt as she was seated alone and coyly there. Lu Baikan looked at her. "You're quite close to Gu Jingyan." Fu Chengxi looked and realized he was talking to her. She got nervous and nodded her head. "Yes, we've been together since junior high." Lu Baikan asked, "Why didn't you talk just now? I thought you weren't around." "I didn't want to interrupt you guys." Lu Baikan smiled. "How can that be?" Fu Chengxi smiled and lowered her head. "My family is not as good as yours. My family is very ordinary. You'll see it in a moment. My home is very small, unlike Gu Jingyan's home which is so big like a castle. I suppose your home is like that as well." Lu Baikan raised an eyebrow. "You could say so." Fu Chengxi lowered her head further. "So I don't know what to say. But I'm quite happy to hear you guys talk." When Fu Chengxi saw Gu Jingyan's home for the first time, she really was shocked. She wondered how it was like to live in such a big place, as though like a palace. There were many rooms inside as well. Gu Jingyan was like a princess living in it with so many maids. Even today, despite having seen it a couple of times, Fu Chengxi was still amazed. However, today, because of Gu Jingyan's background, she could still be alone with Liu Baikan. This made her feel very nervous and her hands were in a cold sweat. Lowering her head, she dared not look at his extraordinarily handsome face. Having arrived at the destination, Fu Chengxi said, "This is my home all right, I'll make a move first. Thank you for sending me home." Fu Chengxi was embarrassed to say that the torn and tattered-looking house outside was her home. She was worried that he would start asking questions as he looked on. She quickly said what she wanted to say and hopped out of the car. Liu Baikan turned his head around. It was indeed quite run down. However, it did not matter to him. He had never looked down on it. He hurriedly left after seeing her go in. The next day, the school teacher called the three of them out to the academic affairs office. "Tell me, you three, how could?" The teacher was speechless and exasperated. Why did it have to be Liu Baikan who called them? She did not know what to say to them. It could only be said that having only just arrived, Liu Baikan had already gotten the school's best students to skip classes. In the future it was going to be disastrous. With yesterday's events, Gu Jingyan got closer to Liu Baikan. When they returned, everyone's eyes were on them. Chapter 1422 There is no one more beautiful than Gu Jingyan. Why is Gu Jingyan together with Liu Baikan? Your level is too low. They were already together yesterday. They even skipped classes together, but no one knew where they went. Wow, that's such big news. Are they together when they just met? That Liu Baikan moved too quickly. Well, he has money. Didn't you see that when he transferred here, the principal went out to welcome him personally? He is a high school student yet he drives a Ferrari to school. Have you seen such an amazing student before? Although there were quite a number of students from rich families in the school, most of them would give the school face. This was because this school was reputable in B City, and even across the nation. However, Liu Baikan clearly didn't think the same. At this moment, a few girls who overheard the conversation got together. What? Liu Baikan had just come and he's already together with Gu Jingyan. That can't be. Why would he like a nerd like Gu Jingyan? One girl raised her objection. Alright, Gu Jingyan is quite pretty, another girl who was standing in the middle said. She was a lot more beautiful and refreshing as compared to the others. She was none other than Cheng Naixin, who had been revered as the top beauty in the school when she had just transferred here. Her family was involved in business and was quiet. She was quite pretty as well. As Gu Jingyan had always kept a low profile and was a cold person, everyone turned their attention to this more beautiful and more cheerful goddess who was easier to get along with. There had always been endless people wooing her, each person more intense than the previous. However, she had never agreed to go out with any one of them. She only said that she hopes everyone could get along well together and study well, not holding up their studies for these matters. When everyone saw that, they felt that she was really a nice person. She was so gentle even when rejecting someone. Therefore, even more people wooed her. When another girl heard her say that, she said in despise, Gu Jingyan is such a country bumpkin and doesn't have our Naixin's great disposition. She isn't as pretty as you either. Moreover, she's just a blockhead who does nothing but study. If this isn't true, then why is it that there aren't many people wooing her but there are so many wooing you? That's right, you're the most beautiful girl in our school. Who is she? Everyone's judgment is an accurate one. Everyone feels that you look good. That's why you're the top beauty in the school. Although Cheng Naixin was feeling delighted inside, she continued to wear an indifferent expression. I really don't know what's wrong with Liu Baikan's eyes. It must be because he had transferred to Gu Jingyan's class and had been arranged by the teacher to sit beside her. Naixin hasn't met Liu Baikan before. Otherwise, Liu Baikan would be our Naixin's. Cheng Naixin blushed. Don't be spouting gibberish. I didn't say I want to be with him, even though it's true that he is quite good looking. That can't do. You and Liu Baikan are the most compatible together, and not with anyone else. You're the only one who is worthy of him, and only Liu Baikan is worthy of our Naixin. Naixin, if you're not going, we can help you. Hey, you guys. Liu Baikan had just taken a seat. He then saw a girl standing in front of him. It was a girl he didn't know. Liu Baikan frowned slightly. However, the girl put a cup of water in front of him. Liu Baikan, this is given to you by our Naixin. Remember to drink it. Who? Liu Baikan's brows furrowed even more. Cheng Naixin, she replied. Liu Baikan propped up his leg. Oh, I don't know her. The girl looked at him in surprise. Lu Baiken, you don't know Naxin even though you've transferred to our school. Lu Baiken smiled coldly. Oh, is she very well known? Must I know her? Of course, she's the top beauty in our school. Oh, Lu Baiken dragged out his tone and then chuckled. I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Hey, you. The girl wanted to continue to say something when the bell rang. The girl looked at him and then left, unable to accept this outcome. Gu Jingze had overheard their conversation, and when she looked at that cup of drink, she thought that it must be some hot drink. It looks very warm. She said, oh, the school's top beauty is confessing to you. Lu Baiken pushed the drink to the side. Stupid. He turned to look at Gu Jingze. Hey, why aren't you the school's top beauty? Gu Jingze laughed. Why would I be the school's top beauty? Lu Baiken said, they are too blind. You're the Gu family's fourth miss. Hey, I told you to shut up and don't create trouble for me. Gu Jingze lowered her head and opened up her book. She is recognized by everyone as the top beauty in the school. It has nothing to do with one's background. When Lu Baiken heard this, he developed some interest. He wanted to know that other than Gu Jingze, who else could be referred to as the school's top beauty? Was there really someone more beautiful than Gu Jingze? Although he felt that Gu Jingze was really not like a girl, he didn't deny her great beauty. Her third brother had already stood out in the entertainment circle despite his young age and was liked by many girls. From just this, it was clear that the Gu family's genes weren't weak. After class, he asked a guy next to him, where is that person called Cheng Naxin? Ah, Naxin, I'll bring you there. Everyone knew about Cheng Naxin. He brought Lu Baiken over to take a look at her. And on the other side, Cheng Naxin's followers were feeling angry. To think that Lu Baiken really said that he didn't know of their Naxin. At the next moment, they saw someone bringing Lu Baiken over. Ah, Lu Baiken, oh my god, look. I knew it, it's impossible for him to be uninterested in Naxin. That's right, that's right. It must be because the person who went wasn't Naxin and thus, he acted so loftily. Look, isn't he here now? Cheng Naxin looked up. It only took her one glance at Lu Baiken to be astonished by his looks. He was so handsome. Moreover, his disposition wasn't what an ordinary high school student, or even those ordinary rich guys in the school, could compare with. Cheng Naxin's face flushed up. Seeing Lu Baiken coming over, her heart started to beat. Ah, he's coming, he's coming. Lu Baiken got closer. He assumed a handsome pose, keeping both his hands in his pockets, and saw the girl when he looked out. He had to admit that she was considered pretty. Her skin was fair and her complexion wasn't bad either. However, he felt disappointed as he felt that this girl wasn't a match for Gu Jingze. How could this girl have become the school's top beauty? Could these people be blind? Lu Baiken took a glance and lost interest. He shook his head and left. Those girls who were still feeling elated earlier were all surprised. Hey, why did he leave just like that? Why didn't he come over to say something? Cheng Naxin's heart instantly sank. She had to put in a lot of effort to not show the stiffness on her face. Chapter 1423 I'm not a profligate son. When Lu Baiken was gone, someone still said resentfully, what's the matter with Lu Baiken? He left after taking a look. Why didn't he even come over to say something? Another person who heard this said in consolation, I think that Lu Baiken probably just wants to come over to take a look first, and only officially get to know each other after he is certain. Is that so? Of course, if he isn't interested, he wouldn't even come. Moreover, the most important thing is that Lu Baiken isn't like other people. He is the young master of the Lu family. His character is arrogant, to begin with, and he definitely won't say anything outright. Cheng Naxin felt that what they said made sense. Her countenance turned back to normal by now. Forget it, I said that we should let these matters occur naturally. There isn't anything that's definite. That can't do. The two of you must get together. Naxin, even if you don't fight for it, we'll help you. That's right, that's right. The two of you are the most compatible with each other. Everyone was saying this and Cheng Naxin's eyes lit up. Who wouldn't want to be with Lu Baiken? She already knew about it when Lu Baiken said that he was going to transfer here, and couldn't help but develop a yearning in her heart. When she came to this school, her family had said that there were a lot of people from rich families here. As long as she could catch on to one, the rest of her life would be taken care of. And on the other side, Lu Baiken went back. Gu Jingze asked, where did you go? Oh, I went out to take a look. Gu Jingze smiled. Why, did you go and take a look at the school's top beauty? Lu Baiken assessed her. How did you know? Gu Jingze looked up. There are people looking at you no matter where you go. The moment you stepped out of the classroom, someone was already saying that you had left the classroom and went to another class. Later on, someone else said that you went to the top beauty's classroom. If you want to meet the top beauty, then just say it outright. Why did you have to sound so disdainful about it earlier? Lu Baiken didn't expect that people would already spread news of him after he walked such a short distance. These people must be too bored. So what, I only went to take a look at how the so-called top beauty looks like. Oh, then how do you feel now after seeing her? Sigh, I can only say that these people are blind. There's nothing I can do about it. Gu Jingze shook her head. You're the one who is lofty and arrogant. It's true that the Lu family's young master must have seen all kinds of beauties. Girls from such insignificant families aren't to your liking. Oh right, you better start making preparations. The military training will be starting in a few days. The notification was just sent out earlier. Military training? Yes. It has already been so long since school started. It has only been about a month. It was too hot when school started, and they were worried about us. Therefore, the training was pushed back for 1 month. You came at such great timing. The day for the start of the military training came quickly. During these few days, lessons would be stopped and military training would be conducted. The school was filled with people dressed in green camouflage uniforms early in the morning. Gu Jingze and Gu Jingze arrived very early. Everyone arrived very quickly and started doing warm-up exercises. Military training also started officially. However, Gu Jingze realized that Lu Baiken hadn't come. Lu Baiken isn't here yet. The instructor would be angry. Their instructor looked very fierce and had hollered at them from the very beginning, giving a few girls in the class a bad scare. Gu Jingze was also so scared that she stood very straight, not daring to make any mistakes. Gu Jingze looked around. Who knows where he went off to? We'll see how things go later. They were saying this when the rumbling sound of an engine rang out. A bright red Ferrari appeared outside the parade square. Lu Baiken hadn't been able to wear his camouflage uniform in time either and had just draped it over his shoulder. He wore light blue and white clothing and came running over. Wow, Lu Baiken is here. He's so handsome. Lu Baiken's car is so cool. He can drive such a great car at such a young age. His driving skills seem good too. The instructor felt greater contempt toward Lu Baiken after seeing that he alone had stirred up the entire class, and no one was standing at attention anymore. All of them were just admiring Lu Baiken's good looks. This was just a young master from a rich family, pampered since young, and probably hadn't been through any hardship at all. Lu Baiken came over. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. The instructor assessed him. Although Lu Baiken was only a high school student, his height was already over 1.8 meters. However, his figure was still lean like a young man's and wasn't burly like an adult's. The instructor wore a cold expression and snorted. From the moment military training started, this place is no longer a school. It's now a training ground. You guys are soldiers, military soldiers who might have to enter the battlefield at any moment. There are no rich young masters or pampered little princesses. Those who wish to drink milk can go back and do that. This isn't a childcare center, and I won't give anyone face. So, he let out a snort and said, don't think that you'll be given any privileges. You're dressed like this and are even late. Hey, this isn't the way for you to attract attention. Do you really think that you're special? Go and stand at attention under the sun for 4 hours. Don't come back until the time is up. Everyone looked at Lu Baiken pitifully with him having to stand at attention for 4 hours under the sun. Lu Baiken narrowed his eyes as he looked at the instructor. Although I feel sorry for being late, what do you mean that this place isn't a childcare center? What do you mean by a rich young master? Lu Baiken rebutted, and everyone was shocked. To think that he had spoken up against the instructor. Lu Baiken had just felt that the instructor had gone overboard. He hadn't thought much of things, even if it meant that he had to be punished. However, the way the instructor said such prejudiced and contemptuous words made him felt very uncomfortable. And Lu Baiken was clearly not someone who would hold things in. The instructor expected this and said while letting out a snort, there's no nanny here to feed you milk. Why, do you think that you've reason on your side when you're late? It's one thing about me being late, but that has nothing to do with me living up a pampered life. I just feel that military training is a little childish. It's just standing at attention and marching. It's very boring. Ha, you're saying that this is boring? The instructor said, this is the basics of being a soldier. All of us had been through this, from standing at attention to being able to go into the battlefield. What do you know? Lu Baiken said, that's enough. One doesn't rely on their mouth to go into battle. I said that I don't care about this, which means that I don't care about this. If you are unconvinced, we can have a competition. The one who wins has the right to speak. The instructor frowned. However, he didn't feel that a pampered young master would know much about anything. This was especially after he saw how Lu Baiken drove and flaunted that expensive car. He knew that this was a weakling who only knew to show off his wealth to attract attention. They had seen many such profligate sons before and didn't care for Lu Baiken at all. Ha, you want to compete against me? In what? In fighting. I know that people of your age like to fight, but you have to be clear about things. The way we fight is different from those street brawling. Lu Baiken said, you can show me what you've got. I'll take it the challenge. Chapter 1424 Why? Are you concerned about me? The instructor let out a cold snort, feeling even more disdainful towards Lu Baiken's attitude. Alright, you can act cool now, but don't be crying later. The other instructors were also looking over. They naturally sided with one of their own. When they saw that a young lad like Lu Baiken dared to challenge them, all of them gathered like soldiers. The school felt that things weren't going well and wanted to stop this. However, Lu Baiken looked at the teacher behind him, tossed his uniform to the side, and said, then we've to make things clear. We won't be doing this for nothing. What will you do if you lose? The instructor snorted. Lose? What if you lose? If I lose, I can apologize to you, beg for your forgiveness, and stand at attention. I can do whatever you want. Okay. Then what if you lose? The instructor looked at him. You mean me? That's right. What will you do if you lose? Hey, if I lose, you can do anything you want. The teacher quickly rushed over, calling out from the back, what's there to compete for? It's better to just go ahead with the training. Lu Baiken said, teacher, don't worry, I won't be a bully. We're just having a reasonable competition and won't hurt anyone. When the instructor heard that, his face turned red with fury. This lad really deserved to be taught a lesson. Humph, I'll help your parents teach you a good lesson. You'll help my parents to teach me. Why don't you see if you have the right to do that? Lu Baiken tossed his uniform aside. The instructor's face turned even redder. The entire school broke out in commotion over his matter. Lu Baiken had challenged an instructor and was going to be taught a lesson. Lu Baiken was late, but he still acted cool and was reprimanded by the instructor. At their age, all the students were still fearful of the instructors. Moreover, they had been scared by the instructors the moment they came and felt that the instructors must be amazing. Moreover, they were also soldiers and were definitely incredible. And Lu Baiken. It was true that he was very rich, but that didn't mean that he was capable. Wasn't he just an ordinary high school student? How could he compare against those adults who had gone through training every day? Everyone crowded over to watch the excitement. What are they competing in? I heard that they're going to fight. Then wouldn't Lu Baiken be beaten to death? I heard that Lu Baiken is very amazing at fighting as well. Those are just brawling between kids. How can that compare to someone who is trained in freestyle combat? Everyone felt that Lu Baiken had gone overboard with his acting cool. He shouldn't have been so rash. However, everyone had already crowded over, waiting for the competition between the two to take place. The instructor tossed his cap to the side. Lu Baiken turned his head and saw Gu Jingze. Catch it. He tossed his clothes to Gu Jingze. Everyone looked at Gu Jingze enviously, feeling that she was very lucky to be arranged by the teacher to have Lu Baiken sitting next to her. This gave her a chance to get to know Lu Baiken, and they seemed to get along well. However, Gu Jingze only looked at Lu Baiken. Hey, can you do this? Lu Baiken gestured an okay sign to her and smiled with his brows raised. Fu Chengxi was very worried. Jingyan, Lu Baiken won't get a beating, right? Gu Jingyan said, he looks quite confident. Let's just watch and see first. He should be quite good at fighting. Although Gu Jingyan had only met him when they were young, she did have some understanding of the Lu family. She knew that although the Lu family didn't have security as strong as the Gu family, they did let their children develop in all aspects from a young age. These basic abilities shouldn't have been forgotten. At this moment. Wow, it's starting. Good luck, Lu Baiken. Good luck, instructor. Some girls were crazily cheering for Lu Baiken, and there were naturally guys who didn't like Lu Baiken who would cheer for the instructor, waiting for Lu Baiken to be put to shame. At this moment, the instructor cracked his knuckles. The corners of his lips curled up as he looked at Lu Baiken. The instructor was wearing a smug smile. Alright, let's start. Don't worry, I'll be careful to not hurt you. We'll stop appropriately. Lu Baiken also let out a cold snort. Alright, I'll return the same words to you. His words had just ended when the instructor's fist came lashing out toward him. Although he said that he wouldn't hurt Lu Baiken, his fist still struck out toward Lu Baiken's face. Ah! The girls started screaming as they saw that Lu Baiken's good-looking face was going to get punched. However, they hadn't expected Lu Baiken to dodge very quickly. Before everyone could make sense of what had happened, Lu Baiken had already dodged the punch. What was even more surprising was that he had even managed to grab onto the fist that reached out toward him. The instructor felt a chill when he saw the sharp gaze. He hadn't expected a child's gaze to be so sharp and cold. Moreover, Lu Baiken's strength was so great that he had managed to grab onto his heavy punch. The instructor wanted to take it back when he realized that he wasn't able to budge at all. The people watching at the back were all taken with astonishment. The instructor was tossed to the ground by Lu Baiken. After the instructor got up, he wanted to punch out once more but was put to the ground by Lu Baiken once again. The instructor got up again. Before he could do anything, he was thrown to the ground again. The girls started screaming crazily, cheering and jumping as they cried, "Lu Baiken, you're so amazing. Wow, Lu Baiken is so incredible. Why is it that Lu Baiken knows everything? He's so amazing." Fu Chengxi had covered her eyes, not daring to watch. But now, her eyes were also wide open. Wow, Lu Baiken is so amazing. Gu Jingze had seen a lot and didn't feel that Lu Baiken was that amazing. It was just that some ordinary people thought of them as being too useless. Even though there were some members from rich families that were profligate sons, families like the Lu family and Gu family wouldn't be like this. Although they were arrogant, they were very strict with how they educated the children. Moreover, they had more resources and could teach more to their children. Therefore, it was natural for Lu Baiken to know a lot of things. It was just that ordinary people didn't know that. At this moment, when the other instructors saw that one of them had been thrown to the floor by a kid, they immediately felt that they had lost face and thus came crowding over. Wow, what are they doing? It can't be that they're going to beat him up, right? A girl was so scared that she backed off. However, Lu Baiken stood in the center and looked at these people. Why, do you guys want to come together? Just do it. The instructors were raring to go, especially when they saw how arrogant he looked. At this moment, Gu Jingze quickly stepped out. That's enough. You guys can't be such bullies. If so many of you fight him alone, nothing would be proven, even if you win. Everyone looked at Gu Jingze in surprise. She was really daring to go over at a time like this. Of course, they were also people who said disdainfully, "Look at how she's so good at acting," quickly rushing over after seeing that Lu Baiken was surrounded. This is how one gets close to a rich guy. The rest of you better learn from her. Humph, so what? Would Lu Baiken like a nerd like her? However, what took everyone by surprise was that Lu Baiken looked at Gu Jingze and smiled, asking in a teasing tone, "Why? Are you concerned about me?" Chapter 14:25 Don't think of seducing Lu Baiken. Gu Jingze looked at him and pushed his head. "Are you a fool? Why are you here to get into a fight?" Lu Baiken said, "I don't like how they treat us as if we don't know anything and only rely on our family." Gu Jingze asked, "Who asked you to act so snobbishly all the time?" Lu Baiken said, "I have money. Why do I have to hide that? It's not as if it's something embarrassing. Our family's money came from legitimate sources. We didn't steal or commit fraud to get them. Why should we be despised?" After Lu Baiken said that, he waved his hand and said, "Everyone, I won today. I'll give everyone a treat. Everyone can go." When the students heard that he was going to treat them to food, they felt that he was being too generous. However, they were naturally happy that they could get a treat, and all of them cheered. Suddenly, a huge commotion broke out in the square. Gu Jingze wanted to say something but her voice was drowned by the screams. She could only cross her arms in front of her chest helplessly as she looked at Lu Baiken and shook her head. The other instructors watched on. No matter how proud they were, it was impossible for them to go against so many students. Moreover, it was true that they had lost. No one had expected that this young lad who seemed so weak would turn out to be so amazing. Amidst everyone's cheers, Lu Baiken jumped down. The school couldn't do anything to him even though he was acting so arrogantly either. It was because he was Lu Baiken. They could only blame themselves that back then, when they heard that Lu Baiken was going to come to their school, they immediately went up to curry up to him and welcomed him. They hadn't thought about what the lad would bring to the school. Lu Baiken was naturally a man of his words. That night, he had food readied at a hotel and welcomed all students who brought their school badges. It was the first time for many of them to dine in a place like this. They felt that this place was really high class. How much would it cost to dine here? Moreover, there are so many people coming for food. Lu Baiken won't get bankrupt because of it, right? Even if everyone in the nation came, he wouldn't go bankrupt. What businesses do you think the Lu family deals in? Oh my god, Lu Baiken is too amazing. He's so handsome and so rich. When Gu Jingyan came, she saw that this place was just right next to the Gu Jingyan hotel. However, their hotel was catered for accommodations, while this hotel was catered for dining. She walked over helplessly, worried that the employees working for the Lu family would recognize her. After all, even though outsiders might not know her, what if there were people who worked for the management who had seen her before? As expected, she had just gone over when someone greeted her. Ah, Gu. Shush. Gu Jingyan quickly made a gesture. She looked at the students who had passed by her and then quickly glared at that person who called out to her. She then went in. The person at the door found it strange. Wasn't this the young miss from the Gu family? Why did she feel so strange? At this moment, Gu Jingyan walked in, but she couldn't find the place. She was following the rest of the crowd when she felt that she was pushed by someone to the side. She looked up. They must be the followers of the school's top beauty, Cheng Naixin. All of them had their heads held high as they looked at her, wearing unfriendly expressions. Gu Jingyan didn't feel that she had offended them before. They shouldn't have crossed paths with each other before, so why did they come look for her? What do you guys want? Gu Jingyan asked. A few of them assessed Gu Jingyan then asked, hey, who asked you to come? That's right, who asked you to come? Gu Jingyan chuckled. Lu Baiken is giving a treat. I can come if I want to. You guys aren't the one giving a treat. Ha, today is a day for our Naixin and Lu Baiken. Leave, you aren't allowed to enter. Gu Jingyan blinked. What do you mean a day for Naixin and Lu Baiken? Lu Baiken and Cheng Naixin had gotten together. Why didn't she hear Lu Baiken mentioning that today? A few of them only didn't want to let Gu Jingyan enter. It was because Cheng Naixin would dress up nicely to come, and they didn't wish for Gu Jingyan to come and spoil things. Without Gu Jingyan, Lu Baiken would definitely keep his eyes on Cheng Naixin. Otherwise, with Gu Jingyan here, she'd definitely spoil things. Of course you don't know. Naixin is the top beauty in the school. Only she can be a match for Lu Baiken. Who do you think you are to dare to fight our Naixin for a man? Oh my, it had been very long since she had someone asking, who do you think you are? When had I been fighting for the same man with your Naixin? Gu Jingyan didn't even know about this herself. Did she need to fight for Lu Baiken? They had no relations at all. It was just that they were more familiar with each other because they had met when they were young. They snorted. Don't be trying to think up excuses. The teacher arranged for him to sit next to you, and you went up to approach him right from the very first day. After, you keep trying to curry up to him, wanting to get together with him. Don't think that you'll be able to succeed just because you're closer to him. Lu Baiken won't fancy you. That's right, look at yourself. How are you as good looking as our Naixin? If it wasn't because you've been hogging onto Lu Baiken, not letting him see our Naixin, the two of them would have been together long ago. You're the one who kept on stopping Lu Baiken from leaving your classroom. It's because you'll be able to rise in status if you manage to get him. There are many people like you in the school who don't come from families as well off as our Naixins and thus, decided to focus on your studies and get into this school to seduce those rich guys. Don't think that we don't know that. Gu Jingyan really felt like laughing. Did she need to seduce rich guys? Moreover, these people were too good at coming up with stories. It was as if they knew everything. Hey, I'm not interested in fighting for the same guy with your Naixin. Move, let me in. Gu Jingyan looked up. Although she kept a low profile, it didn't mean that she, the Gu family's fourth young miss, would be bullied by a few girls. No, we won't let you enter today. Ha, I shall see which of you aren't afraid to die and want to stop me. Gu Jingyan said that and tried to enter. A few of them immediately got closer toward her. They were bullies in the school, to begin with, and their family backgrounds were acceptable as well, having spent quite a lot of money to get them in. They were taken in by Cheng Naixin after getting into the school. This Cheng Naixin was someone with means, especially in terms of winning over other people. A few of them were people who would be involved in school bullying now and then since their junior high school days, bullying other female students. Many people who had gone against them were brought to places like the toilet or the rooftop, completely humiliated, and even had their clothes stripped and photos taken. They would force those people out of the school. These were all things that they had done in the past. Therefore, they weren't afraid at all when they looked at Gu Jingyan. A fight between girls was nothing significant. It was just to see which side had more people. The side with more people would bully the side with less. They approached Gu Jingze like they normally bullied people, but hadn't expected that Gu Jingze would kick one of their legs. The force was just enough to make the person drop to her knees. Ah. Chapter 1426. Yours are so small, so of course, you'd be envious of someone else's big ones. Gu Jingze then slipped past another person, stepping them under her feet. She used the bent area behind her kneecaps to secure the person under her. By the time Lu Baikan arrived, this was the scene he saw. She had single-handedly beaten a few girls to the ground, causing them to howl. Someone called out, "Ah, Lu Baikan is here." The few girls quickly called out to him, "Lu Baikan, look. Gu Jingze is beating us up. It's so painful. Gu Jingze, are you still a lady? How can you be so vicious? You must have used some kind of weird method. What weapon do you have on you?" Everyone started shouting out. Lu Baikan had heard from his servant that Gu Jingze had arrived, but was stopped and not allowed to enter. That was why he had come out to take a look. He hadn't expected that some of them would already be taught a lesson. Lu Baikan felt defeated when he was with Gu Jingze. Didn't this woman know how to act gentle and weak? If she resolved all the problems herself, then what was the use of men? It was no wonder that even though she had the great beauty of a fairy, no one was willing to go out with her. Lu Baikan walked over. What happened? A few of them quickly said, "Gu Jingze is bullying us, not allowing us to enter." That's right, that's right. Gu Jingze said that you're hers. She wants to get her hands on you and become the Lu family's young madam. This is her only opportunity, and so she's not allowing us to get close to you. Lu Baikan watched as they lied through their teeth. It was impossible for Gu Jingze to say such things. They clearly had no idea what Gu Jingze's identity was. Otherwise, they would have known how foolish the things they were saying were. Even if the Gu family's fourth miss was very violent and had no hint of femininity, if she wanted a guy, there'd be big groups of them sending themselves to her door. Why would she need to rely on him to be given a new lease of life? He looked at them, feeling amused. By this time, Gu Jingze had already gotten up and had walked over. However, before she could say anything, she heard a soft voice ringing out in the hall. "Oh my god, what are you guys doing?" She turned and saw Chang Naxin had come. Moreover, she wore a fitting dress, bringing out her curves perfectly. Everyone was here for a meal, and naturally had changed out of their school uniform, dressed in their own clothes. However, although everyone was dressed in different clothes, most of their clothes were still very simple, wearing short sleeves and jeans. Few came in dresses, let alone such a feminine dress. Chang Naxin was very mature, having such great curves at a young age. She had a great figure, and that was only why she dared to wear such a dress. With her appearance, and with so many bare female faces to compare with, her uniqueness, beauty, and charm were all brought out very well. All of her followers were astonished. Chang Naxin looked at Lu Baikan weakly, her eyes moistening up with tears, as if she was going to start crying at any moment. "Lu Baikan, I'm sorry. They might have been a little overboard, but we're all classmates. There's no need to fight, right? Can't everyone talk things over peacefully?" Her followers immediately felt very touched. "Naxin, don't plead for us. Don't be dragged down by us. It's fine for us to be beaten up. Don't get too close to a girl like her." Chang Naxin walked over. Lu Baikan assessed her as she walked over. Even the way she walked seemed flawless. However, Gu Jingze looked at Lu Baikan and felt that his expression didn't seem too interested. Lu Baikan felt that Chang Naxin's dress wasn't bad, and she stood out amongst all the other female students. However, he had met many ladies like her. He had attended various events since he was young, and had met all sorts of celebrities. He had seen too many women that were far more feminine and beautiful than Chang Naxin. Therefore, Lu Baikan wasn't that attracted by her clothes. Lu Baikan only looked at her and then asked Gu Jingze, "What happened? You were stopped by them." Gu Jingze patted her hands together. "It's fine. The process isn't important. You've seen the results. Why, did you come running over because you were worried for me?" Gu Jingze imitated. Lu Baikan laughed. "I'm worried about other people. Don't I know you well enough? There's nothing to worry about." Chang Naxin's expression stiffened up once again. Lu Baikan had only taken a glance at her and then went off to chat happily with Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze was also speaking to him so casually. Gu Jingze said, "Isn't that fine then? Let's go. I'm tired of the fighting. These people. They didn't manage to do anything to me anyway." "Alright, you're very magnanimous. Come, I'll treat you to good food. Lu Baikan went in together with Gu Jingyan, only throwing Cheng Naxin a sideward glance and said, I'll leave things here to you. Cheng Naxin looked at the group, and then at the two of them. The other girls got up in succession. They had only been thrown off their feet. Gu Jingyan hadn't been too harsh with them. How dare Gu Jingyan talk to Lu Baikan like that? Gu Jingyan is so gutsy. But to think that Lu Baikan didn't get angry, and even smiled at her. What's going on? Humph, who knows if this is a special way Gu Jingyan seduced Lu Baikan? That's true, she just wants to appear special. When Cheng Naxin heard these, she said, alright, don't do things like these in the future. Violence won't solve anything, you guys even ended up being implicated and getting beaten up. It's not worth it. Everyone only turned to look at Cheng Naxin when she spoke, and was immediately astonished by her. Wow, Naxin, you're really so beautiful today. You're definitely the most beautiful amongst everyone here today. That's right, let's go in quickly and let Lu Baikan take a good look at how many guys are crazy for you. Cheng Naxin's face flushed up and she was pushed in, seemingly with a hint of reluctance. Meanwhile, inside. Wow, Cheng Naxin is here. When the guys saw Cheng Naxin coming in, they were all taken aback by her beauty. They looked at her beautiful figure and their hormones started to rage intensely. Wow, Naxin is really the top beauty in the school. She's really alluring. How beautiful, she's really a goddess. If she can take a look at me, I'd feel that I'll be able to fly. Everyone started talking. Gu Jingyan stayed with Lu Baikan, looking outside. Cheng Naxin's arrival had brought up a commotion. Gu Jingyan said, Tisk tisk, aren't you going to take a look? She's so beautiful. Lu Baikan said, why do I have to look at her? I don't think that she's beautiful. Is that so? There must be a problem with your eyes. I feel that she's quite beautiful today. Forget it, it's not as if a woman can become a goddess just by exposing her breasts. Oh, but you're not wrong either. Your breasts are so small, as if they aren't developed. That's why you feel that she looks good when her breasts are big. Hearing Lu Baikan say that, Gu Jingyan's face flushed up. She then saw Lu Baikan glancing at her chest as if assessing her measurements with his gaze. Chapter 1427 Use the Gu family's power to search. Haha, it's bigger than yours no matter how. Gu Jingyan turned around right away. Lu Baikan laughed. If this is not as big as mine, then you should look for a doctor to determine a change of gender. Get out, Lu Baikan. You've changed. Why are you so insulting now? Gu Jingyan raised her hand immediately. Lu Baikan retreated while laughing, allowing her to hit him. Anyway, it was not painful. It was just for fun. Others were shocked to see the two of them bickering. They did not know when Gu Jingyan had become that close with Lu Baikan. Some had become tired of Cheng Naxin and only cared about watching the two be playful. Lu Baikan was in agony getting hit by her. He quickly stuffed a strawberry into her mouth. Alright, have something to eat to cool down. Ha, you have to treat me to a feast if you want me to cool down. Sure, what do you want to eat? I want to eat something expensive. Boo, gosh, so vainglorious. I'm happy to be vainglorious. Cheng Naxin wondered why in her present state, Lu Baikan was still not paying any attention to her. She was quite satisfied initially, seeing how the guys around her pledged their dedication. The guys scrambled to give her what she wanted, surrounding her as though they could not wait to gouge their hearts out for her. However, it was the inside that had most of the attention. That guy did not seem to even notice her. She was liked and loved by many. Did he actually not notice her? How could Cheng Naxin believe that? She thought hard. She was so pretty but he was showing no interest in her. There was bound to be some background story. After lots of consideration, she felt that it was unavoidable for her to be direct about it. He must be too proud. Everyone liked him and he was not in a good spot to vie for her. Not long after, she saw her followers arrive and her eyes lit up. She walked over and told them, I've thought of a plan. But I don't think it's good, I don't know if I want to do it. What plan? Everyone looked at Cheng Naxin who looked embarrassed. They urged her, quick spill. We can't let Lu Baikan get conned by that wretched Gu Jingyan. Whatever it takes, we have to get him on our side. After getting hit by Gu Jingyan, they were at loggerheads. After a while. Though Lu Baikan was giving a treat, it was like he was alone and having a meal by himself. Until somewhere in between, someone went over to thank him. Classmate Lu, we're really thankful for your treat just now. Let's not say more. We shall give you a toast with tea as wine. Lu Baikan smiled as he said, well said, well said. Help yourselves to the food and drinks, everyone. Lu Baikan drank from his cup. That person left. After a while, those who were supposed to leave were preparing to leave. Lu Baikan was also preparing to head back. Do I need to send you back? He asked Gu Jingyan. Gu Jingyan shook her head with Fu Chengxi. Someone from home will pick me up. Alright, I'll make a move first. Since someone from the Gu family was coming, he did not need to poke his nose into any more business. Lu Baikan was about to start the car after he got out. He saw Cheng Naxin walking over. Young Master Lu, she said as she walked over, will it be on the way? I'd like to head back. Could you give me a ride? Lu Baikan was not uncompassionate. So he replied, hop on. Cheng Naxin was ecstatic and she hurried into the car. Seated in a two-seater convertible Ferrari, it was extremely breezy. Onlookers looked at Lu Baikan and Cheng Naxin with a suggestive gaze. Someone even whistled to tease. Cheng Naxin started to blush. But she was jumping for joy internally. The car started moving. Cheng Naxin looked at Lu Baikan. She thought his profile carried about a playboy look, it was very inviting. That shameless and bad boy look was hard to resist. A bad boy like this made it even more intriguing. He was expressionless as he focused on driving. He drove as fast as a plane. He only asked where she was going and did not say more. Cheng Naxin could only steal glances at him. Just then, Lu Baikan suddenly felt uneasy. He jammed his brakes. Cheng Naxin got a shock. She felt happy when she saw his face change. Was it working? She put on a face of concern. What's wrong, Lu Baikan? Was there a problem? You don't look too good. Are you unwell? Cheng Naxin reached her hand over, her body followed as well. Her two breasts in plain front view looked seductively close. In a moment of agony, Lu Baikan watched the gleaming object get closer. In an instant, he almost lost control and grabbed it. What was happening to him? Cheng Naxin noticed the change in his eyes. She got happy and moved over. In a misty voice, she seductively said, what's happening to you, Lu Baikan? Don't scare me. Ah, why are you staring at me? I'm getting embarrassed. She pretended to protect her chest. However, just then, in a confused state, Lu Baikan felt there was something wrong with him. Though he was not a nice person, he had never treated females like that before. He immediately felt bad and wondered if he had eaten something bad. Though he was still young, he knew more than what most others did. After all, he was living in a family like his. With a movement, he pushed the advancing Cheng Naxin away. He opened the car door and got out of the car. Hey, Lu Baikan, what's wrong with you? Cheng Naxin was shocked as she watched herself get pushed away as she tried to advance on him. Lu Baikan picked up his phone. Gu Jingyan, come here. Something is wrong with me. What's wrong with you? Gu Jingyan was still on her way home. Hurry over, help me. Lu Baikan could not take it, rubbed his forehead, and sat at a corner after he had spoken. Cheng Naxin hurried over. Lu Baikan, what the hell is wrong with you? Lu Baikan looked at the female who was coming closer. Internally, he was pleading, stay away from me, stay further away. Just then, Gu Jingyan looked at her phone. This scatterbrain, what happened? Blinking her eyes, she got worried. After some thought, she immediately told her driver, let's head back and look for Lu Baikan. The driver asked, Miss, look for young Master Lu. Where is young Master Lu? Where was he? She had no clue either. She did not ask where he was going when they separated. I heard some noises. I think he's on the road. I don't know where. Go, use some powers to find him. He must be in some sort of danger now. I've to quickly find him. This time, it was a must to use the power of the Gu family. Chapter 1428. This is Gu family's young mistress. The Gu family's affluence was indeed powerful. In a short time, they had already gotten news that young Master Lu was seen at Zhengnan Street. Cheng Naxin looked at Lu Baikan worriedly. Young Master Lu, what is going on with you? Let me have a look, all right. She tried to get close to him, with the intention of getting something from his body. Young Master Lu, do you want me to help you? She stroked him with her slim hands. Don't move, just let me help you. Lu Baikan had already lost most of his awareness and naturally did not know what she was doing. He only felt something moving on his body, making him feel hungrier and more unbearable. His throat felt like on fire and it was making him feel terrible. At this moment, Cheng Naxin took the opportunity to get even closer. Just thinking about getting close to him made her feel like she was becoming a young mistress in the Lu family immediately. She jumped for joy internally and her heart could not help beating hard. Come, I'm here, you'll be better right away. Come, let's get into the car. She had wanted to assist him up but he was too sleepy and heavy for her to move him. With much effort, she finally helped him up. They had not taken more than 2 steps. Young Master Lu is here. A few guys walked over immediately. Chang Naxin got scared. She looked up and saw a few men in leather and suits, looking very scary walking over. You guys. What's wrong with young Master Lu? The men pushed Chang Naxin aside. It looks like he was drugged. What? Behind, Gu Jingze had just gotten off the car and when she heard the security's words, she quickened her pace to go over. You, Chang Naxin looked like she had seen a ghost when she looked at Gu Jingze. Why did she come out of a posh car? Gu Jingze on the other hand, only glanced at her before heading over to where Lu Baikan was. Chang Naxin called out, "Hey, what are you doing? Why did Gu Jingze come searching out all of a sudden? Did Lu Baikan call her just now? Why would Lu Baikan call her?" However, even if Lu Baikan had called her, he did not entirely say where he was. How could Gu Jingze get here so fast? Chang Naxin looked at Gu Jingze and charged over to say, "He's only a little dazed. You can leave this to me." When she saw the people who were behind Gu Jingze, she thought they must have been Lu Baikan's men. Did Gu Jingze go to the Lu family just to cause trouble? This woman was really loathsome. Gu Jingze scoffed. She had heard what those guards had said. If I leave it to you, will Lu Baikan be safe and sound? Won't he get eaten by you? The word eaten was enunciated very clearly. Chang Naxin felt a little embarrassed but seeing how Lu Baikan was in an unclear state of mind, she became arrogant. Eat or not, it's between us. You don't have to intervene. This was such a rare opportunity. If she allowed Lu Baikan to be taken away by Gu Jingze, that would be letting her have it easy. The drug was not easy to find and she had spent quite a lot of money to get someone to put it in his drink. Gu Jingze asked, "And if I want to intervene?" Chang Naxin looked at the people behind and back at her. Gu Jingze, you've even called people from the Lu family to come. Do you really see yourself as the mistress of the Lu family? People from the Lu family. Gu Jingze looked at the posh car behind and the security guards who had come along. She knew it was a misunderstanding. Gu Jingze raised an eyebrow and smiled. You can still make it if you walk away now. If not, don't blame me for being nasty if anything happens. Chang Naxin said, I walk away and leave Lu Baikan to you. I'm not that foolish. I'm not leaving. Don't you dare think of taking Lu Baikan away. That's not up to you. Gu Jingze waved her hand and the men behind her immediately pulled Lu Baikan up to head towards the outside. Ah, you can't move. Your young master is unwell and he must stay here. I can help. Don't get bewitched by Gu Jingze. She's a liar. She must be lying. Listen to me, you guys. Gu Jingze laughed coldly. I would like to see if they would listen to you. You. Indeed, Chang Naxin did not see them waver. As Lu family's people, how can you listen to a wild child's orders? Do you guys want to cause harm to Lu Baikan? Gu Jingze said, you have it wrong. They're my men. What? Just then, the people from the Lu family had also arrived. Gu Jingze had also notified Lu family's people earlier on. She was just worried that something would happen so she came over first. Just then, the people from the Lu family had caught up. They lowered their heads in respect the moment they saw Gu Jingze. They said, Fourth young mistress, thank you very much for letting us know. Our young master. Oh, your young master is doing fine here. I just think he doesn't look good. Gu Jingze said. A few men saw their own young master and hurried over in a panic. They held their young master up. Young master. Chang Naxin stood there in astonishment. You guys, what are you guys doing? Who are you? This is our young master. And who are you? A subordinate from the Lu family said to Chang Naxin. Chang Naxin looked in shock at Gu Jingze and her men. Those people are. The man from the Lu family said, this is young mistress Gu, don't you even know? Ha, if not, did you think anybody could find the whereabouts of our young master in an instant? This time, it's all thanks to fourth young mistress's help. She found him in a short time. If not, we wouldn't even know if something happened to our young master. Some of the men looked respectfully at Gu Jingze, singing her praise. Chang Naxin's heart was shaking in shock. What did it mean that the posh car behind was Gu Jingze's and not Lu Baikan's? These men were also Gu Jingze's. Gu Jingze scoffed and looked at her. I've already said so. Unlike you, I'm not interested in using despicable ways to tie a man down. Gu Jingyan had said it so directly that it made Chang Naxin's face turn red. The people from the Lu family heard from the side and added on, what about tying a man down? Ha, are you talking about Miss Gu and our young master? Fourth young mistress doesn't need to tie any man down. Our young master would definitely like you. I think you both are very matching. It's our young master's honor if he can be with the fourth young mistress. Oh no, what's most important is the love between two people. Fourth young mistress, are you really with our young master? What gibberish is this about being with whom? Gu Jingyan realized the subordinates had gotten it all wrong. She quickly said, that's not what I meant. I meant, forget it, quickly take him away, your young master looks like he's going to die soon. The men looked and realized they had been focused on singing Gu Jingyan's praises that they had forgotten about their own young master. But the good thing was, Lu Baikan was still in a daze at that moment. He most likely did not hear what they were saying. If not, he would be mad. Chapter 1429 What an arrogant young master and young mistress. Chang Naxin looked at Gu Jingyan. You are. It doesn't matter who I am. What's important is that I don't think it's worth fighting over any guy with you. When you think of others, don't shove your ideas upon them. It'll seem very immature. Chang Naxin had a rude shock, but looking at Gu Jingyan, she did not dare say a word at that moment. Looking at the men behind her, she slowly pondered. They said something about the Gu family's fourth young mistress, the Gu family that has all the Lu family singing their praises. Gu residence. Which Gu family? She was in utter shock as she looked at Gu Jingyan in disbelief. She was the young mistress of the Gu family. How could it be? Why did nobody know that she was the young mistress of the Gu family? Gu Jingyan said, all right, this is over. Go home, everyone. Gu Jingyan casually commanded and scoffed at Chang Naxin. Chang Naxin was still in disbelief and she refused to believe it. Gu Jingyan was actually the young mistress of the Gu family. Why? She was extremely jealous. Looking at Gu Jingyan while thinking about how she had ruined her plans and harshly slapped her face, she shouted on impulse, so what if you're the young mistress of the Gu family? I see how you've been outrightly seducing Lu Baikan. Gu Jingyan turned her head around. What did you say? She squinted at Chang Naxin. Chang Naxin's heart croaked. Isn't that so? Who was the one who went straight into hugging Lu Baikan when he arrived? The entire class knows. Ha, you think everyone is like you. Gu Jingyan replied immediately. I don't need to hug Lu Baikan. If there's a need to, I'll have my family go over to propose a marriage. The Lu family wouldn't reject for sure. Pity, I've known Lu Baikan since we were young and we're just friends. I'm not the least bit interested in him. Because I don't need to rely on his or the Lu family's wealth to achieve anything. Gu Jingyan looked fiercely at Chang Naxin whose face had turned redder. Gu Jingyan may be of low profile but she was extremely unforgiving when she was merciless. In the first place, she had never looked up to Chang Naxin, especially now that she had done this sort of thing. Gu Jingyan said, what else do you want? Continue speaking, but I advise you to better shut up. You've already offended me with this. I may not like talking much but I like bearing a grudge. If you apologize to me now, I can still pretend nothing happened. If not what? Chang Naxin looked at her angrily but she had no other ways with her. She was all alone by herself and those people behind her would never go against the Gu family. Chang Naxin had always seen Gu Jingyan as an eyesore because when she was made the school belle, everyone had said it was because Gu Jingyan did not contest that. As for Gu Jingyan, she had already become a celebrity when she entered school. Her grades were the best amongst the first years and she was just shy of a few marks to get a full score for all subjects. Additionally, she was discovered to be very pretty when she arrived. How could there be such a perfect person? Chang Naxin's grades were not that great. Her father had forcefully enrolled her into the school. She was jealous that Gu Jingyan was known by everyone in the school the moment she entered. Wherever she went, people were bound to say, look, that's Gu Jingyan. She got to where she was because of her looks. Needless to say, people always questioned her status. I won't apologize to you. Oh, that's okay, I remember now, your family is of some Cheng car dealership, right? If you don't apologize now, then your family will come to school to apologize tomorrow. Gu Jingyan did not waste any time and turned around to get into the car. What do you mean? Chang Naxin was still calling out. However, she knew what it meant the next day. Cheng's car dealership had been sealed off due to some tax issues. Gu Jingyan came to see Lu Baikan the next day and teased him. You should thank me for yesterday. Because of me, you didn't lose your body. Lu Baikan felt quite mad thinking about it. Shut up. Ha, you were almost kidnapped by others and you still have the cheek to say it. Go away. Oh, is this how you treat your life savior? Lu Baikan was speechless and felt angry with himself. Alright, I shall treat you to a meal then, to thank you. Will that do? That's more like it. Gu Jingyan smiled gleefully and took her mobile phone out to search what was good within the area. As she searched, she said, then I want the most expensive meal. Childish. Ha, I'm that childish. If you have the guts, you can try to stop me. Looking at this arrogant woman, Lu Baikan felt exasperated. The two of them went to a Western restaurant that Gu Jingyan had picked. He actually did not really like eating Western food, but it was expensive, and she had asked for the most expensive meal, not the best meal. Thus, this upscale Western restaurant was picked. The restaurant was quite surprised to see two people in school uniform coming in to have a meal. The lowest priced item on the menu here is 5,000 yuan. The restaurant staff reminded them. Gu Jingyan said, the lowest priced item is only 5,000 yuan. No way, I'm sure I picked the most expensive. The restaurant staff had thought that Gu Jingyan was boasting, but Lu Baikan had already slapped his black card on the table. The staff knew he had spoken the wrong words when he saw that wireless black card. It looked like these two people were the second generation of the rich. And a very wealthy second generation of the rich. The staff quickly got the menu. Soon, Cheng Naxin's family arrived. Cheng Naxin's father looked at the two kids and hurried over to say, Miss Gu, young Master Lu, I've brought Cheng Naxin here to apologize. Gosh, Naxin is uncultured, having clashed with you both. We've already punished her back home. Hope you both can have a big heart and forgive. Dad, she watched her own father at his age having to lower his voice and pride to two students in school uniform. The main thing was, the restaurant staff curiously watched on from the sides. This made her feel very ashamed. But this was inevitable. Lu Baikan was really disgusted at the sight of Cheng Naxin. He also felt ashamed for her. He immediately said, who gave you permission to come over? Alright, I'm not in the mood to see you all. Don't appear here and ruin my appetite. Gu Jingyan said, alright, you say it's to apologize, but I've never heard classmate Cheng say a word to apologize. Is this an apology? Father Cheng quickly pulled Cheng Naxin over when he heard that. Hurry, apologize to Miss Gu. Cheng Naxin was reluctant, but she could only lower her head and apologize. Even her own father had lowered his voice in pride. What else could she say? She only became more jealous as she watched the two of them. She thought having money and status, and a good family would indeed have this sort of privilege. Sorry, I was wrong. I hope you guys can forgive me. Gu Jingyan decided to forget about it as she heard those words. She could not be bothered to continue saying anything. She waved her hand and said, alright, we want to have our meal now. You can leave. Father Cheng quickly said, yes. Please enjoy your meal. We won't be bothering young mistress and young Master Lu anymore. He sighed as he walked. Look at how different the children from wealthy families are. There's so much class even when they eat out. Naxin, you better be more careful. It won't be good if you offend anyone. Cheng Naxin got more worried when she heard that. Chapter 1430. They're actually together. The military training ended very quickly. With the ruckus that Lu Baikan made, the instructor had swapped in another team to come in. Everything was well after. On the last day of the training, everyone had to carry their equipment to head up the mountain. They had to bypass the mountain behind and spend a night of outdoor camping by the lake before returning to school the next day. Their military uniform was of high quality and upscale just because it was a famous school. All the preparations for the military training made were very comprehensive. The school had made it especially stringent to prevent any incidents, as parents were all very worried and there were many wealthy families' young masters among the students. Gu Jingyan, Lu Baikan, and Fu Chengxi were in a group. Lu Baikan was carrying the heaviest bag. Gu Jingyan carried hers while Fu Chengxi's bag was the smallest. Fu Chengxi said abashedly, let me carry some. I feel bad. Gu Jingyan said, it's alright. Your small frame is already carrying things. You better look where you're going. Fu Chengxi said, you're so skinny and you're carrying so much. Gu Jingyan said, when I was training at home in my early years, I had also walked with heavy weights. At that time, I carried about 20-odd kilograms, much heavier than this. You guys are young masters and mistresses. How can you suffer? Fu Chengxi said. Gu Jingyan replied, it doesn't mean that we don't need to do anything. Sometimes, the caretaker is stricter. I'm still alright because I'm a girl. Nobody hopes that I'll take on the role of being the head of the house. My two older brothers entered the company since they were young. They attended school while working, extremely exhaustive. They learned various skills too with no time to idle. Fu Chengxi sighed, I didn't expect wealthy people to be so busy. Lu Baikan said, you say as though it's super special. Fu Chengxi smiled as she looked at Lu Baikan. How would I know? My family is so ordinary. You've seen it for yourself the other time, so small and tattered. Lu Baikan replied, so what does your family do? My dad sells vegetables. He buys from the wholesaler in the morning. Fu Chengxi felt embarrassed as she mentioned this. She felt she was really poor, really stupid, and did not know anything. Her family was so ordinary as well. Lu Baikan said, speaking of which, I've never been to a vegetable market. Fu Chengxi smiled, why would you young masters and mistresses go to that sort of place? It's very dirty there, with rubbish everywhere. I'm sure it's not that bad. Take me to have a look next time. Fu Chengxi looked at Lu Baikan and he looked back at her. They both laughed heartily. The group started their journey. As they walked, Fu Chengxi could not take it after a while. So tired. Aren't you guys tired? Fu Chengxi looked at the two of them in surprise. Gu Jingyan said, this is called lack of training. Come, practice breathing and you won't be that tired anymore. Actually, Fu Chengxi had trouble keeping up as Gu Jingyan and Lu Baikan walked in front. The two of them had very good stamina and physical strength, much better than most of their classmates. Quite a number of people behind started to say they were tired, but the two of them were still fine. Fu Chengxi tried very hard to keep up with the two of them. Looking at Gu Jingyan, she felt that she was very perfect. Gu Jingyan excelled in everything while she was too ordinary. She did not want to pull them back, so she continued walking. Who knew that she would end up spraining her leg from not paying attention? Ouch, it hurts. Fu Chengxi squatted on the ground. Gu Jingyan hurried over to take a look. Are you all right? I don't know what happened. It hurts a lot. She pulled Fu Chengxi's leg over to have a look and saw that it was very swollen. It's so swollen, I think it's a sprain. Ah, what should we do? Gu Jingyan smiled at Lu Baikan. You'll carry her. Lu Baikan replied, what? Why, you can't carry her. I thought you said you're good at heavyweight walking. Don't tell me you want me to do the carrying. Gu Jingyan had deliberately provoked Lu Baikan in this way. Lu Baikan let out a laugh. Who says so? Alright, I'll do it. It's no difference. Fu Chengxi blushed. Can you? But I. Enough. Just get on. Are you worried his body can't take it? See, Lu Baikan, Fu Chengxi is like me. She thinks you can't carry and move. Hey, I'll show you guys. Lu Baikan patted his shoulders and let Fu Chengxi on. Fu Chengxi climbed on as she blushed, not daring to look at anyone. It was the first time she had contact with a male's body. Fu Chengxi was shy and excited, especially when she thought that this person was none other than Lu Baikan. Gu Jingyan laughed merrily as she watched. Lu Baikan was able to take it. Seeing how pleased Gu Jingyan was, he only felt he could hate her with gritted teeth. He carried her until the destination. Everyone started making their tents. Lu Baikan went over to help Fu Chengxi upon seeing that she did not know how to. Oh, why are you so silly? Fu Chengxi said softly, I'm that silly. I'm not as smart as Jingyan or good in studies like she is. I'm not as knowledgeable as she is. Lu Baikan said, what about that? That leaves people speechless. Being well versed in everything, seriously, Lu Baikan shook his head and pouted. Fu Chengxi said, not at all. I really envy her. Lu Baikan looked at Fu Chengxi while she looked back at him. She blushed immediately. Gu Jingyan did not know that just after a night, on the next day, Fu Chengxi had become Lu Baikan's girlfriend. It was only because Lu Baikan had looked at Fu Chengxi and asked right away, why don't you be my girlfriend? Fu Chengxi was stunned for a while. What did you say? Lu Baikan said, I'm only going to say it once. I know you've already heard it. Yes or no, just say it. Fu Chengxi's face turned red like blood. She lowered her head to give consent. Great, so I'll take it as you've agreed. Just like that, Fu Chengxi had become Lu Baikan's girlfriend. The next day, everyone returned to school. Everyone took a few days to rest after the training ended. When they returned, Gu Jingyan had entered the school early in the morning and she saw Lu Baikan and Fu Chengxi getting out of the car together. And it was that coquettish Ferrari. Gu Jingyan hurried over as she called out, hey, how did you guys come together? Fu Chengxi turned around. When she saw it was Gu Jingyan, her face turned red and she lowered her head as though she dared not look at her. Gu Jingyan said, "Ah, what a coincidence that you guys arrived together." Lu Baikan smiled and in a move, he hugged Fu Chengxi's shoulder. Gu Jingyan was shocked. She did not have any reaction for some time. Fu Chengxi and Lu Baikan. They were together. Gu Jingyan finally came to her senses after some time. She looked at Fu Chengxi and asked, "Oh my, when was this? Why didn't you guys tell me?"